Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to our session. Tonight, we are having our session number 6. And remember that then during this following week, we have our Holy Week break. I know that you know, but just like to refresh your memory, keep in mind that we will resume our course on Monday, April the 10th. Of course, we will have the second part of our class with Professor Laura Juliana. That doesn't change at all. I'd just like to refresh your memory a little bit. I hope that during these days you can rest, that you won't have problems, like you can have those days for you. Can you repeat? Ay, ¿qué sería? From the information that I was saying, no, that we have Holy Week as our break, Jorge. That's like what I was saying, actually. I didn't say anything else, to be honest. Today, we will be working on our Unit 7, to also talking about a little bit of grammar. If we have a look at our book as well, that means that we will be working on pages 68 and 69. As you remember, when we started this unit, there are different grammatical components. We were talking about, let me see the chat. Okay, yeah, welcome, Jorge. The idea to talk about tonight is related to reported speech, you know, that is like the main passive voice, sorry. One of the tenses that we have already studied, sorry, was about reported speech. The good thing, I dare to say, is that in general aspects, this grammatical part is easy for you. Well, guys, as usual, I was like extending a little bit the beginning of our session, but it's time to take attendance. Let's begin. Karen Victoria Acevedo.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Steven Santiago Fonseca.
Here, teacher.
Okay. Sergio David Gomez, let me see the chat. Okay, Sergio is in the chat. Okay. Kiara Lizette Martinez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jorge Moreno.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Natalia Navarro. Natalia is not here for the moment. Diego Fernando Olarte. There you are, Diego, in the chat. Manuela Ortiz.
Sure.
Okay. Looks like you're having problems with the connection. I'm making a mistake in here. Give me a moment. Ya sé qué pasó en este cuadrito. There you are, Manuela. Very good. I'm just having like issues with the Excel spreadsheet. Juan Sebastián Pavón. Not here yet. Beatriz Pedraza.
And teacher.
Okay. Hamilton Peña.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Xiomara Catherine Rincón. Catherine, sorry.
Present.
Okay. Jessica Paola Ríos.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Catherine Rodríguez. There you are in the chat. Marlon Yesid Sánchez. Not here for the moment. Mendy Fabián Santa.
Teacher present.
Okay. Manuel Alberto Sepúlveda.
Present, teacher.
Okay. María Alejandra Vega. It looks like Maria is not here for the moment. And Vanessa Zambrano.
Present, teacher.
Okay. So for the moment, the ones that are absent are Natalia Navarro, Joan Sebastián, Marlon Yesit, and Maria Alejandra. Okay. Well, guys, as I was telling you, let me share the whole screen. The idea of tonight is to continue with our topic. In this case, we're talking about pages 68 and 69. Yesterday, we started the unit and we began talking about programs, TV shows. We continue somehow on the same line in the idea of entertainment. But in this case, we're going to focus on movies a little bit. Well, these are some questions that were taken from our source. I'm gonna read the instructions for you. It says, individually read the following questions. You will have 3 minutes. Ay, me apareció que alguien está esperando. You will have 3 minutes to think of your answers. And of course, the idea, guys, is that you are ready to share your ideas with the class. I'm gonna read the questions as well. What's the most amazing film you've seen recently? What's the most disappointing film you've seen recently? And for you, your opinion, your perspective, what is your film of the decade? Okay. The idea, of course, guys, is for you to take some time, for you also probably to write down some notes, because what I want you to do is not only to tell me like the name of the movie, but also to give me like in very general, let's say in a very general perspective, actually, why you consider that the movie is the most amazing, it's the most disappointing, or for you, like point of view, the film of the decade. As I was telling you, I'm gonna give you like 3 minutes to think about it. Once again, maybe you wanna write down some ideas before you share your ideas with the whole group. How are we going to do it? First, I'm gonna ask you I'm gonna ask the ones that wanna volunteer their answers, you know, and then I will ask like some of you, I will look at the list and choose your names. Do you have any questions about the instructions, guys?
Yes, teacher, is clear.
No questions, perfect. Well, 3 minutes and then, yes?
The third questions. And what do you mean when as film of the decade?
The decade. Like in the last 10 years, which movie for you has been like the most relevant or has had the most impact?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, very good. 3 minutes is starting now, and then we share. La más relevante. That's the one. Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was a straight vendor and it was like really, really loud that I actually didn't want that to be on the recording. Well, guys, in this to share your opinion about these three questions, we are talking about different types of movies. As I was telling you first, I would like to know if there are any volunteers to answer the questions. If there aren't any, then I will choose for you because of course I want to know your opinion about it. In total, I'm going to ask 5 people. Let's see the chat. No, but I want to listen to your voice. Okay, but Natalia said that she has a problem with the microphone. That is a different thing. I'm going to read hers. The most amazing. But what's the name in English, Natalia? Because we know that it has a name in English as well as Divergente. Yeah, that's disappointing. Disappointing. That you studied that yesterday. And the film of the decade, Bohemian Rhapsody. That is a pretty good one. Thank you, Natalia. Santiago, what about you?
Well, teacher, I think that the most amazing film I've seen recently is 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. It's inspired in a real history about a secret military base and 5 soldiers which combat and fight with a complete army with only
Okay.
it's in Netflix. I recommend you. It's a really good movie, and the soundtrack is beautiful. It's a beautiful soundtrack.
Okay. Santiago,
And the disappointing, definitely, Terminator: Dark Fate. It's a terrible movie,
okay.
and practically take out the, I don't know how to say it, protagonismo to Sarah Connor and the original history. So I don't like that.
What did you say?
And
The word that you said that you didn't know how to say it?
sorry,
You said that I don't know how to say it, and you said a word that I didn't get. What was?
protagonismo.
Like the leader?
Yeah,
But in this case, talking
the
about
principal
movies.
character.
Yeah,
In
that
the
is the one.
principal character,
Principal character.
who was Sarah Connor and his son and all that. And well, the most relevant film of the decade for me is Interstellar, the topic that mentioned about the finish of the humanity and the risk if we don't change our lifestyle, and well, all what we have to do for try to survive. It's very amazing.
Okay, great, Santiago. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas. Any other volunteer to answer the questions? Natalia already shared in the chat.
Teacher, me.
Yes, Jorge, tell us, what about you?
The most amazing movie that I've seen recently is John Wick 4. Is
4.
an action movie. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
It's about a hidden elite assassin. The most disappointing film is Violent Night. It's about a different type of Santa Claus. It's very crazy. In my opinion, the film on the decade is Avengers Endgame, because I love Marvel and I like all movies of them.
Okay, Jorge, thank you very much. I also saw 2 other hands. Don't worry, keep them up. I think it was Kiara. I couldn't write down the other name.
Yes, teacher.
What about you?
For me, the most amazing film that I've been seeing recently was Adam Project, because I like when the movies are based in the real dealings of science.
Okay.
For the most disappointing film was Avatar 2, because I like the movie, but I think that it was like as a step for the real drama for the next movie.
Okay.
And the films of the decade is the Hobbit saga, because for some people the movies are very long, but if you think about all effort and work for make only 3 movies is amazing.
Okay, Kiara, thank you very much. And I think that the other hand that I saw was Hamilton's.
Teacher, for me, the most amazing film I have seen recently is an Argentine film who his name is The Secret of Her Eyes, El secreto de sus ojos,
Okay.
and the most disappointing film for me is Thor, Love and Thunder, and my film of the is
Decade.
decade is two. For example, the teacher. What is mean decade? Last 10 years,
Decade is 10 years.
but my okay. Mm, I saw the Good Father and how I don't remember, but is the silence of Inocentes.
Well, in the, let's say naming in English, because you know that usually it is not the translation. In some cases it's marketing. The name is Silence of Lambs.
Lambs, yes, that is.
Okay. Yeah, those are considered like pretty good movies. Very good. Well, Hamilton, thank you very much. Well, guys, as I was telling you, and as you already noticed, somehow everybody has a different opinion when we're talking about movies. Some of you probably are more experts on certain types of movies compared to other people. In my case, I have to accept I'm not pretty good. In our book on page 68, we have a kind of quiz. Let me show you where the instruction of the quiz is. We're gonna do it, okay? As I was telling you, probably you know the answer of those questions, or as we usually do in this type of exercises, what we're going to do is to predict, okay? It doesn't matter if we don't know the answer, that is not a problem, because for the moment, the idea is to read the questions, identify, you know, possible vocabulary that we need to check. And let's see if eventually our guesses actually match the real answer. So let's read the questions. Beatriz, could you read question number 1 and also the 3 possibilities for the answers, please?
Yes, teacher. Number 1. In which country is the largest number of films products? France, the USA, and India. The USA.
USA?
For me, B.
Okay, Beatriz.
USA.
That's
in
it.
which year was...
No, only number 1, Beatriz. Thank you.
Okay.
That's okay. Diego, could you read number 2, please?
In which year was the first 3D movie made? It was in 2002.
Could you read also the other 2 years, please?
Okay. A, 1922, B, 1972, and C, 2002.
And you think that's the year, right?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Thank you, Diego. Let's have a look at number 3. Sebastian, could you read it, please?
Yes, teacher. What number?
Number 3.
Number 3. In the Harry Potter films, the role of Harry Potter is played by Daniel Radcliffe.
Read the other names, please. For the moment, we're reading all the possibilities. As well.
Okay. A, Robert Pattinson, B, Orlando Bloom, and C, Daniel Radcliffe.
That would be it. Thank you, Sebastian. Catherine, could you read number 4, please? Catherine? Well, we don't know where Catherine is. Karen Victoria, 4.
Number 4, teacher.
Mhm.
And the Academy Awards Oscar ceremony is held in A, New York, B, Cannes, and C, Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
Where do you think it is?
I think it's Los Angeles.
Okay. Well, I know that you may consider that some of these questions are a little bit obvious. Probably in other cases, we actually need to listen, because at the end, that is what we're going to do. Keep in mind. And I was going to say something. Can't. Okay. Don't pronounce the E. Let's continue. Number 5. Kiara, could you read the question, please?
The Chinese actor Fong Si-long is better known as Chow Yun-fat, Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan.
What do you
Bruce
think?
Lee.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you very much. Manuel, what about number 6?
Sorry, teacher. The Avatar films are set on the imaginary planet Diana, Pandora, or Penelope.
What do you think? What could be the prediction for the answer?
It's Pandora.
Okay, Manuel, thank you very much. And let's finish this quiz with question number 7. Marlon, could you read it, please?
Number 7, teacher, which writer's work has been filmed most often? A, William Shakespeare, B, Agatha Christie, C, C.S. Lewis.
Luis.
Luis?
Luis.
Okay.
And what do you think, Marlon? What would be the answer of that question?
I think Shakespeare.
Okay. Remember, guys, that what we're doing is to predict. Well, we're gonna listen. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me put it here. Well, anyway, you have the book, guys. Remember, like, the intention is to actually choose the answer for each question. It's a very simple, well, quiz at the end of the day. Remember that you have already, some of you guys have already predicted. I know that some of you also have already like answered some of the questions at the same time while you were reading the questions and the answers. But now we're going to listen and now we're going to check. Of course, the idea that you pay attention to the information that is being presented. We're gonna listen twice to make sure that you collect the proper answers, you know, and then as usual, we're going to check all together and we'll see if your predictions actually matched the answers that are presented on the recording. Guys, did you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher.
Okay, great. Let's listen, guys.
Recording 1. 1. Many people assume that the United States is the movie capital of the world, and indeed around 900 movies are made there every year, mostly, of course, in Hollywood. But the country where the most films are made is India. More than 1,000 Bollywood films are made every year.
2. The title of the world's first 3D movie was The Power of Love. It was first shown at the Ambassador Hotel Movie Theater in Los Angeles on September 27, 1922. The film was silent, and it has now been lost.
3.
Between 2002 and 2011, 8 Harry Potter films were made. And in all 8 films, the role of Harry Potter was played by Daniel Radcliffe. Radcliffe was only 11 years old when he was chosen for the role. The author of the books, J.K. Rowling, chose him herself. She thought he was the perfect Harry.
4.
The Academy of Motion Picture Awards, better known as the Oscars, are broadcast to more than 200 countries worldwide every year. The first Oscars ceremony took place in Hollywood, Los Angeles, in 1929, and it has been held there ever since.
5.
This famous Chinese actor was born Chan Chong-sang in 1954 in Hong Kong, but he changed his name to Fong Shi-lung in the late 90s. He began acting in the 1960s, but moved to Australia in the 1970s and worked on a construction site. Other workers gave him the nickname Little Jack, which soon became Jackie. Jackie Chan has since made more than 100 films, mostly martial arts films and comedies.
6. The epic American science fiction film Avatar, directed by the Canadian James Cameron, is set in the 22nd century on a fictional planet in the Alpha Centauri star system, named Pandora. A sequel is being filmed at the moment, and it is believed that more sequels will be made in the future. 7.
The most filmed author in any language is William Shakespeare. More than 400 film versions of his plays have been made, more than any other writer.
Let's listen the second time.
Unit 7, Recording 1. 1.
Many people assume that the United States is the movie capital of the world, and indeed around 900 movies are made there every year, mostly, of course, in Hollywood. But the country where the most films are made is India. More than 1,000 Bollywood films are made every year.
2.
The title of the world's first 3D movie was The Power of Love. It was first shown at the Ambassador Hotel movie theater in Los Angeles on September 27, 1922. The film was silent, and it has now been lost.
3.
Between 2002 and 2011, 8 Harry Potter films were made. And in all 8 films, the role of Harry Potter was played by Daniel Radcliffe. Radcliffe was only 11 years old when he was chosen for the role. The author of the books, J.K. Rowling, chose him herself. She thought he was the perfect Harry.
4.
The Academy of Motion Picture Awards, better known as the Oscars, are broadcast to more than 200 countries worldwide every year. The first Oscars ceremony took place in Hollywood, Los Angeles, in 1929, and it has been held there ever since.
5.
This famous Chinese actor was born Chan Chong-sang in 1954 in Hong Kong, but he changed his name to Fong Shi-lung in the late 90s. He began acting in the 1960s, but moved to Australia in the 1970s and worked on a construction site. Other workers gave him the nickname Little Jack, which soon became Jackie. Jackie Chan has since made more than 100 films, mostly martial arts films and comedies.
6. The epic American science fiction film Avatar, directed by the Canadian James Cameron, is set in the 22nd century on a fictional planet in the Alpha Centauri star system, named Pandora. A sequel is being filmed at the moment, and it is believed that more sequels will be made in the future. 7.
The most filmed author in any language is William Shakespeare. More than 400 film versions of his plays have been made, more than any other writer.
Okay, that was it. Let's have a look at the answer. Let's confirm which answers actually were, let's say, correct. Some, as we were saying at the beginning, some of them were a little bit obvious and maybe some were like surprising, I think. For example, the case of number 1, Santiago. In which country is the largest number of film produced? Because Beatriz said the USA. Is it the USA?
And nope, the answer is letter C, India.
India. Very good. Let me put it like a mini mark over here. Let me see the chat. Oh, this is Bollywood in India. Absolutely. Let's have a look at question number 2. Vanessa, which year was the first 3D movie made? If I'm not mistaken, I guess that Diego, it was Diego said 2002. Is that the answer?
No, it's 1922.
1922. That was it. You get it. Yeah, it's shocking. Well, I guess that question number 3, in that case, well, we didn't have many other possibilities. We already knew that it was Daniel Radcliffe. Let's have a look at question number 4, talking about the Oscars. Once again, probably this is like well-known information, and they are held in Los Angeles. What about question number 5, Xiomara?
Yes, teacher. Number 5 is Jackie Chan.
It was Jackie Chan. So the prediction actually matched the answer that was given. In that case, I forgot who the person was. What about question number 6, Jessica? What's the name of the imaginary planet?
Is B, Pandora.
Very good. The prediction once again was correct based on the answer. And what about number 7? If I'm not mistaken, I was asking maybe Sebastian, no, Manuel, talking about which writer's work has been filmed the most. So Sergio, which is the answer? Sergio? Okay. Let's have a look at the chat. Yes, that's the question. Manuel, so was your prediction the same as the information from the report?
You mean about Avatar?
Did I ask you number 6 or number 7, Manuel? I forgot.
You asked me number 6.
So then it was Marlon, I guess?
No, teacher, I ask 7.
I asked you 7, right, Marlon? No?
Yes, teacher.
So was your prediction the same as the answer?
8, William Shakespeare.
It was William Shakespeare. Very good. Okay. That was it from this part. A kind of quiz. Remember that in general aspects, we were talking about movies, but as I already told you at the beginning of the session, we're going to focus our attention also on the grammatical component. And the good thing, I dare to say, is that we're talking about a topic that we have already started in previous cycles. We're talking about passive voice. First of all, let me refresh your memory about passive voice in general, okay? Give me a second. Okay, guys, sorry about that. First of all, let's remember what those concepts mean. The first concept to keep in mind is active voice. And to put it like in very simple words, we can say that in active voice, the subject is performing the action. That's what we care about in this case, sorry. Maybe you remember this example. I used the same example the other day. I said, the dog chases the ball. We can see the dog performing this action that is chasing the ball, right? That is basically the idea. What happens with passive voice? The statement gets flipped, We change the order, first of all. And second, in some cases, it is not necessary like to include the doer of the action. If we want to do it, we use the word by. Once again, we make the transformation, and this is how the sentence would look like. The ball is being chased by the dog. I can say the ball is being chased, and I'm already using passive voice. Keep in mind, guys, that active and passive voice are just like the two voices. That's for the moment, let's say in English. Remember that we can't say that active voice is better than passive voice and vice versa. Remember that one of the main differences that we can assign is that passive voice tend to be used more in academic contexts, like for example, scientific reports. We can imagine like a study about rats. The rats were placed into the maze, or maybe talking about the news, The governor was inaugurated at the State House. And of course, when we use active voice, that means that we want to make sure that it is pretty clear who's providing the opinion, right? In some cases, that is why active voice is more common in this type of statements. Students deserve more flexible scheduling options, and that is a good possibility. So I would like to refresh your memory about, let's say, the difference between active and passive voice. The other day, we studied passive voice in present and in past simple forms, and that was it. Now, this is the time to include all the tenses. First of all, let's have a look at passive voice in simple tenses. Look at the statements in here. We have them in present, simple, past simple, present perfect, and also future. For the moment when we say future, we already know there are different possibilities for future, right? We will use only that combination, will. In present would be it is made. Notice that in past says it was made. I'm having a look only at the affirmatives in this case in particular. Present perfect says, for example, it has been made, and future, it will be made. Notice, guys, that in all the examples, we can see some aspects that are shared among the combinations. First of all, the verb to be. In present, we have is, past was, present perfect being, and well, in future, we have be. In this case, basically, the form of the verb to be is the one telling us the tense. Future is going to be used with will be. We always need to use the verb to be. I need you to keep that in mind. That is like an obligation, okay? Because notice that the principal verb in all the statements is the same, is the past participle, made, 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 and made. So technically the verb in past participle, which we have already checked, is not the one telling me the tense of the statement. Of course, the main verb is telling me the action, right? But in order to determine if it is or present or past or perfect or future, is the combination, let's put it like that, or the conjugation, actually that is the proper name of the verb to be. As you see, we have it in affirmative, we have it in negatives, and we have it in questions. For the moment, we're talking about only the simple tenses. Guys, do you have questions for the moment?
Nope.
Okay. So if we have simple tenses, of course, we have passive voice with progressive tenses because all tenses can be used with passive voice. Once again, let's talk about present and let's talk about past. We have the verb to be. We have is if it is present and we have was if it is past. But we need to show that there is progression, right? So in order to include that progression or that continuity on the statement, notice how we do it, being. Because to show progression, we need to include an ing. So that is why we have to include being in both statements. And once again, the principal verb goes in past participle. So the key element to keep in mind when we're talking about passive voice is using the verb to be. In some cases, we have like the simple tenses. In some cases, we have the progressive forms. And notice that from the affirmative, the negative, and the questions, we need to keep and to respect, let's put it like that rule that requires the use of the verb to be plus the ing form that is telling us the progression, okay? Also, don't forget to connect with the information that we had already said, we are talking about technically, well, let me share it with you. Well, we have already said that active voice is more like when we are giving our opinion because we may consider, okay, active voice is like a normal sentence. All sentences are normal, okay? Let's clarify that part first. But when we wanna make sure that we know who's doing the action, that's the moment to use active voice. So when to use passive voice? The grammatical, let's say, explanation would say to focus on the main topic of the sentence. Because notice that now we are starting the idea with the result, That's what we care about in passive voice. In some cases, we use passive voice when the person that does the action probably is unknown or unimportant and not necessarily a person. When we're talking about a subject, let me go back to one of the charts. I can say, for example, it is made. Who made it? I don't know. Probably it's not important. It is not relevant information. It is not necessarily an obligation to include it. In some cases, probably the doer of the action, it's obvious, like everybody knows the information. So to put it in the sentence would be like irrelevant, Those are like probably the three most important reasons to use the passive voice. I remember that in one of the previous cycles, I don't remember exactly if it was Manuel or Santiago. Or if you didn't say that, don't worry. I guess that the question was like, or Manuela, I think it was Manuela. Like passive voice can't be used in conversations, or we can't use passive voice when we are with our friends, something like that. Of course, I can't say the same words that she used. And I was telling you that, okay, if we use like that idea, like we can't use it in a conversation because the book says that, we are being too strict with ourselves, Yes, passive voice is more for formal contexts. We said like, for example, nurse reports, or when we're talking about research, when we're talking about the news in general, that would be like the most common context to use passive voice, but we can use it at any point. One of the things I hope that you remember that I told you is that even in Spanish, when we use passive voice, we are somehow leaving the responsibility to someone else. We can say even in Spanish, se decidió, blah, 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 blah. Who decided? We don't know. But that's the action that happened, That happens in both languages. So the responsibility relies on someone else, and we don't know who that someone else is, right? And well, probably you're also thinking about the contexts when we also use passive voice. When we're talking about accidents or injuries, when we're talking about crimes, when we're talking about inventions like books or films, that is like most of the general idea of using passive voice. Well, guys, it was more like a review. I know that I took more time talking about this than I had expected, but the idea is to refresh our memory as much as possible. We have two, let's say, contexts, simple tenses and progressive tenses. It doesn't matter the type of tense. Keep in mind that the most important part is the verb to be. The verb to be is the one telling us if the statement is in present, in past, in perfect, or in future. And of course, talking about the progressive ones, we need to include the ing. So after the verb to be, let's include being to make it progressive. Guys, any question after refreshing our memory? Okay. Let's refresh our memory. I have been using this tool a lot, but I actually really like it because I think that it actually let us know how much we can remember from different concepts. I'm sending you the link to the chat. Once again, we are making a summary of the different tenses that we have talking about passive voice. So on this part, we have, let's say, the grammatical name. On this second part, what we have are some sentences which happen to be the examples of those grammatical names that we have in here. Notice that we're talking about active, passive, and the idea is to match them as they correspond, okay? The ones that say example, I don't want you to get confused, are talking about the general rule itself. For example, it says, I do my homework. So this is an example of active voice, right? And my homework is done is an example of passive voice. I wanted to, let's say, start with these two examples in particular, so we didn't confuse yourselves with other statements. That is going to be the idea. You match in front of the corresponding sentence that actually makes reference to the type of passive voice. When you finish, you click on submit, and then we will know the result. Okay, well, I didn't do anything, of course. Guys, would you let me know if the link is working, please?
Yes, teacher, is working.
Perfect, guys. I want you to take your time, well, not all the class, of course, to check the statements. I'm gonna give you 8 minutes because some examples are tricky. I know that you know, but I just want you to be sure. Anyway, I will be checking the leader board to see how many of you have already finished. And in case that you finish earlier, well, we can continue with our second exercise. Okay, well, guys, let's start. 7 minutes starting now. Okay, guys, thumbs up. Let's share the answers first of all. 14 people out of 17, 18. These are nosotros cuatro. And the podium goes to Diego, Sebastian, and Jorge. Okay, very good. Let's see the answer key because I see that in some statements we had some confusion. Here we have them. As I was already telling you, like the examples, I do my homework. What's the example of active voice? And my homework is done. What's the example of passive voice? And then we had the other examples of the other tenses. Active and passive. That was the idea. Notice that in the active, we always begin with the doer of the action. That's the technical name. In passive, we begin with whom is receiving the action. Okay. Questions, guys? Any statements in particular that you're not really sure about? You want to clarify?
Teacher, I have a question without the means of active. Present perfect active.
Present perfect active is like a normal sentence in present perfect. He has completed the course. Notice that the sentence begins with he. So that means that he, in this case, the pronoun is the doer of the action. We immediately know from the beginning which person is in charge of that activity in particular. Okay? Because notice the present perfect passive. My house has been cleaned. As I was telling you, with the passive, we begin in this case with the object that is receiving the action. After reading this sentence, we know that someone cleaned the house, like the house was, let's say, the one that received the action or the one that was affected. That's the word that I was looking for, by the action. It's not like the house did something, the house received the action. So that would be like the difference between both of them. Present perfect active is a normal sentence. Let's call it normal, as I told you before. All are normal. Like a regular sentence in present perfect. Yes, Anita.
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other sentence, guys, that you would like to clarify? Okay. Well, guys, this is what we're going to do. I know that up to this point, you have practiced passive voice a lot. With these examples, comparing active and passive, we also keep on refreshing our memory. This is what you're going to do. You're going to create a 5-question quiz like the one presented on page 68. You're going to create something similar to this, but only up to 5 questions, okay? Not 7, but 5. Let me go back to the slide. You can choose any topic you prefer. In this case, our quiz was talking about movies, talking about actors, like in very general terms. You can choose the same line, or maybe you talk about sports and athletes. You want to talk about science, etc. Innecesariamente largo. Of course, guys, the idea is that you make sure that you use passive voice in your statements. Now that we have, let's say, officially clarified the topic, notice that in this case, for example, is held, the actor is, better is optional, known as. All the statements are, including passive voice, are said. That's the intention. Okay, that is what you have to do, to include passive voice in your sentences. I'm gonna, of course, the idea, guys, is that you do this activity collaboratively because it actually requires some time to, one, decide the topic and then to create the questions. Also, similar to our quiz, make sure that you create questions similar to the type of answers, notice that the answers, when I say similar, I mean the answers are short, one word, maybe 1 year, one number, the name of a person. Of course, I'm not asking you to create like very detailed multiple choice questions because of course that wouldn't be realistic for the amount of time that you will have. So make sure that they are similar, once again, in terms of how long they are, that they are easy for you to, let's say, write down, once again, a name, a country, a number, in terms of numbers could be a year, okay? Guys, did you have any questions about the instructions? Santiago, yes?
Teacher, the activity will be in groups or individually?
Will be in groups.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm creating the breakout rooms. I'm making sure that I don't have repeated names. That I think I saw a repeated name, but I'm not quite sure. No, my mistake. Well, whatever. Okay. Let me make sure that you can share your screen. There will be 3 participants per group. I hope that everybody actually helps each other. That's the intention, guys, that you like participate, creating the questions. In case that maybe the person doesn't appear, well, the person didn't appear, just don't write down that name. Okay, guys, in total, you will have 20 minutes because the idea is that when we get back, you present your quizzes, like very generally. Okay. Could you confirm, please, if you can actually, okay, there you are already on the slides. Let's start. Hay mucha gente acá. Manuel, Mendy, Manuela, Jessica, Sergio. Guys, do you have any problems with connection, going to the group? Well, guys, welcome back. The majority of you are here. Well, it's time to check your questions, the ones that you created. Well, I don't know what happened to group number 1.
Teacher, the fact was that only Mendy had computer and he lost the inner connection for practically all the activity, but he recovered yet and now, and he's writing the question right now. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Yes, teacher. I take a screenshot and I am writing the questions in the slide, teacher. No problem.
Okay, yeah, actually I thought that you were doing like the activity on a different file. That's what I thought from the beginning. So I hope that you have time to write it down. So I'm gonna go to the next group. Let's see, because what I was checking, guys, was that some of you probably were confusing like past simple or present perfect with passive voice, you know, and that is one of the things that is necessary to clarify. In group number 2, we have Sebastian, Marlon, and Sergio. Sebastian, could you read the questions? Only the well, yeah. With the answers, of course. Why not?
Great, teacher. Who is credited with the discovery of the structure of the DNA? A. James Watson and Francis Crick. B. Rosalind Franklin. C. Linus Pauling. And D. Maurice Wilkins. Second, easy power was invented by A. Thomas Edison, B. Michael Faraday, C. Nikola Tesla, and D. William Stanley. And 3, by what process do stars produce energy? A. Nuclear fusion, B. Nuclear fission, C. Electromagnetic radiation, and D. Gravitational collapse. And 4, by what process does the Earth rotate on its axis? A. It is rotated by gravitational forces exerted by the moon and the sun. B is rotated by the movement of tectonic plates. C is rotated by the motion of wind and the ocean currents. D is rotated by the gravitational pull on nearby planets. And number 5, who is credited with the discovery of X-rays? A. Wilhelm Conrad Roentgen. B. Marie Curie. C. Albert Einstein. And D. Ernest Rutherford.
Okay, group number 2, thank you very much. Let's check passive voice. We have is credited. Let's use this already. Although we have been using it like with different purposes, but in this case, it's for me like to find it easily. Okay, was invented and also you included by. Very good. Well, what process do the stars produce energy? I think that number 3 is active voice, because remember that with passive we have verb to be and the verb in past participle. What process do stars produce energy? Yeah, it's active. In number 4, the question, sorry, is active, but in all your answers you included passive, right? So let's say that in that case we have like the possibility on the second one. And in number 5, we have passive voice. Okay, very good. Only question number 3 is passive voice. Notice that what I was telling you. Verb to be and the verb in past participle. That's why we need to make it passive. And in the case of number 3, we don't have it. Okay. Let's see the chat. The chat already started getting crazy. Sorry guys, it just like in some cases the chat gets like disorganized. Someone sent a message, but when I go to look at the chat, I haven't received any message. And then like 5 minutes after the message is sent, it actually appears on my chat. So if you send something to the chat, guys, I'm not ignoring you. Like it is not on purpose, of course. I just haven't gotten the message in the chat. I don't know why that usually happens towards the end of the session. Let's have a look at group number 3. We have Diego, Manuel, and Jorge. Diego, could you read your questions, please?
Yes, teacher. 1. The first bulb was created by A. Thomas Edison, B. Nikola Tesla, and C. Isaac Newton. 2. Which year was the Statue of Liberty built? A. 1896, B. 1876, and C. 1976. 3. The Nobel Prize is awarded in A. Stockholm and Oslo, B. Los Angeles and New York, and C. Berlin and Edinburgh. Number 4. In which year was the penicillin discovered? A. 1918, B. 1945, and C. 1978. 5. When were the Olympics Games played in 2012? A. Tokyo, B. London, and C. Beijing. And 6. Which year was the PlayStation 1 launched? A. 1994, B. 1996, and C. 1995.
Okay. Question number 1, we have passive voice, was created. Also number 2, was built, is awarded. Notice that even here, they're telling you that there is a mistake in terms of the spelling. Careful with question number 5, because in your question you say when, but in the answer you talk about the place. I think that you mean where, right? Which year was the play? And again, we have was and we have lunch. In your case, all questions have passive voice. Okay, guys, very good. Thank you very much. And also, you included aspects plural or singular, present and past, which also is a good idea to mix the tenses. Number 4, we have Hamilton, Xiomara, and Vanessa. Vanessa, could you read the questions and the answers, please?
Yes, teacher. 1. Which player played the most game in the history of the language? A. Messi, B. Subizarreta, and C. Sergio Ramos. 2. The Olympics right have not been colored. A. Pink, B. Blue, C. Black. 3. Where the World Cup of football has been played. A. Qatar, B. French, C. England. 4. Which team has won the most World Cups? A. Argentina, B. Brazil, C. Germany. 5. In the floor of L, this prize has been able to move in chess. A. Queen, B. Horse, C. Pawn.
Okay. Look at question number 1. In which part we have the passive voice?
Teacher, we can change the order of the phrase. For example, the history, the most games in the history of the league have played by which player?
Have been played.
Has been played. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. With that organization, we can see the passive voice. In the second one, you have passive voice with present perfect, have not been colored, has been played. Well, then with that adjustment, number 1 and number 3 will look like a little bit the same. Number 4, it is present perfect active voice, has 1. Remember that when we include the verb to be is when we see the passive voice. So think on the adjustment on question number 4, okay? The formal, this has been able to move in chess.
Teacher, en esa pregunta, después de has been, el verbo queda así, hombre.
Could you repeat?
Después de colocar el has been, el verbo queda así. Able to move inches.
I'm actually thinking of that question in the form of L. This piece has been able, because it also looks like present perfect, because ha sido capaz de moverse. That is what it means. This piece, and you know, because we already have the doer of the action, we know exactly which, in the statement, we can see who is doing it, you know? If we compare it with number 2, in number 2, it is passive voice. The Olympic rings have not been colored. Yeah, number 5 is also present perfect. Because notice that we have the auxiliary, we have the verb to be, and remember that then after the verb to be, we need the verb in past participle. So we make it present perfect in passive voice. And in this case, we only have able, see? So be careful with the order of the words. We always need a verb in past participle after the verb to be. So in conclusion, also make the adjustments in number 5. Okay? Remember, auxiliary, verb to be, verb in past participle. Oh my God. Let's check quickly number 5 and number 6. Kiara, Natalia, Catherine. Kiara, please, could you read your questions?
And the movements in our body are produced by muscle, nervous bones, and A and B. The largest bone in our body is known as humerus, femur, ulna, and fibula. The human movement has been studied by select only one: anatomy, physiology, physical therapy, and medicine. The is considered as the largest organ in the human body: hair, skin, brain, and liver. The name of the fingers are known as index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky, all the above.
Okay, very good. In this case, all the questions have passive voice: are produced, is known, has been studied, is considered, and are known. Very good. We had simple tenses and also present perfect. Notice auxiliary, the verb to be, and the past participle. Group number 5, very good. Thank you very much. And let's finish with group number 6. We have Jessica, Karen, and Manuela. Jessica, please read your questions.
Number 1, when was the Berlin Wall destroyed? A, 1919, B, 1989, C, 1942, 45. 2, the Sistine Chapel was painted by A, Miguel Ángel, B, Pablo Picasso, C, Salvador Dali. Number 3, the last pharaoh of Egypt was known as A, Cleopatra, B, Nefertari.
That's what you wrote. Maybe you meant.
C, Tutankhamun. Number 4, what was the first language spoken? A, Sudameric, B, Hindi, C, English. Number 5, what painting was painted by Van Gogh? A, the Gioconda, B, Gear Upper Erin, and C, the Starry Night.
Very good. We have passive voice in the questions. Was destroyed, was painted, was known, was spoken, was painted. What painted and repeated, you left that in past, but that was it. Well, guys, and to finish, I don't want to take up more of your minutes of your break. Group number 1, Santiago, Beatriz, and Mendy. Santiago, could you read the questions, please?
Okay, teacher. Question 1. In the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the character of Legolas was played by A. Viggo Mortensen, B. Bruce Willis, C. Orlando Bloom. I have to say the answer.
No. Only the questions.
Okay, second. The India Catalina Award is made in A. Bogota, B. Santa Marta, or C. Cartagena. 3. Which celebrity is the best player that Colombia had? A. Fabio Zuluaga, B. James Rodriguez,
Okay.
C. Guillermo León. For the transgender actor, Elliot Page was Knowed. Then asked A. Helen Page, B. Helena Page, C. Helen Page. 5. The most dangerous river in Colombia is called A. Amazonas, B. Mitu, C. Baupés.
Okay. Question number 1, we have passive voice was played. Question number 2 is made. Question number 3 looks like a question using superlative. Notice that we need this combination like this to know that there is passive voice, and we don't have it in question number 3. Number 4, we have was known. And number 5, we have is called. So probably, guys, you need to make an adjustment on question number 3 because in the way that it is stated, it is a question using just the superlative, but all the other 4 questions are okay. Okay. Well, guys, I don't want to take up more of your time. I wish you have a great holiday. Remember that we get back on Monday, April the 10th. Of course, you have class with Laura Juliana, just like I'm saying goodbye from the first part of the session. Guys, see you on that Easter Monday. Okay, bye-bye. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, teacher.
See you,
Para evitar la
teacher.
confusión, Easter viene siendo Pascua, ¿no? No quiero que se me enreden. Bye.